What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to GA Fan TV. We are here today to preview this weekend's National Football League action. Of course, we will be looking through a number of games this weekend. I'll be picking out some of the games that you need to keep your eye on ahead of this weekend's action. Of course, first of all, if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have already, of course, if you would share this out to as many people as possible, I would kindly appreciate it. And yeah, lads, of course, a lot of very exciting action to go over this weekend. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Of course, we will start off by talking about Division 4, as the top four sides, in my opinion, both clash off against each other in Antrim, or in Sligo hosting Antrim, and of course Wexford hosting Carlow. So two very interesting games in my opinion. Of course, these are the favourites in many people's opinions to claim promotion and be in that Division 4 final. And of course, you would look no other than Sligo and Antrim, because both of these two sides were very impressive on the opening day of the season in Division 4. Sligo ran out comfortable winners, beating London by 13 points. Pat Hughes and Paddy O'Connor both getting 2 goals each in a very big win for Sligo, of course. They hadn't won a game since 2018. They lost every game in both the Championship and in the league last year, as they finished bottom of Division 3. So that was a huge win for them. And of course, Antrim are coming into Division 4 as the favourites for many people, including myself. I mean, they have a very bright team. They have the return of an experienced veteran in Paddy Cunningham, who played in the I believe Ulster final back in 2009. They've young players coming through, the likes of Eamon Fife, the likes of Rory McCann, who really stood out in that victory in their last game over Wexford when they won by 6 points. So in terms of this game, to be honest with you, with it being a home at Sligo, you could probably give the advantage to them. But I feel like Antrim have the momentum, and they're very used to playing at this level now, in my opinion, and playing these types of teams, and they've shown enough quality for me that they do have more than Sligo in this game. So I feel like Antrim will run out 3-point winners. Of course, then you do also have the other game between Wexford and Carlow. Carlow, of course, ran out 2-point winners over Wicklow in their last game. I suppose with Carlow, they do always have a very defensive approach, blanket defence. They make it very difficult for teams. It's one of the reasons, in my opinion, why they've been very successful at this level in the National League, and it's mainly because of that defensive system. It's very hard for counties like Wexford, like Wicklow, to break teams like Carlow down. The good news is you're always going to be in with a shout, though, aren't you? And for Paul Galvin's Wexford side, they are still a young team. They are still a new team under Paul Galvin, in my opinion. It's going to take time to really get used to Paul Galvin's management structure, to the way he wants this Wexford team to play. And I think they're going to show more signs of positivity in this game than it did against Antrim. Although, to hit 13 points against Antrim, I still thought was quite impressive. But I do just fancy Carlow just to edge out Wexford, just have that bit more experience and that bit more quality in front of goal. So I think Carlow will edge out Wexford by a point. And then we move on to Division 3, and there are some very interesting games in this one as well, because one team that really caught my eye and really surprised me on the opening weekend of the National Football League was Leitrim, because they went away to what many people believe is one of the favourites in Derry, and we'll speak about them in a brief moment. And Leitrim, I thought, were absolutely fantastic. In particular, Keith Byrne, who I believe hit 8 points in that game versus Derry, as they managed to squeeze out a draw away from home. And that was very impressive, because Leitrim played Derry twice last year in Division 4, lost both games. One of them, of course, in the league stage, the other one in the Division 4 final. So very impressed by Leitrim and the way they played, considering they've lost so many players going into this game, or going into the National League this year. I think they've one of the most smallest squads, in terms of numbers available, going into the Championship or going into the National League this year. So highly impressed with them. They'll obviously be going away to Cork, I believe it is. I think they're home to Cork. Of course, Cork, we know, are massive favourites for Division 3. It's a necessity, really, that they have to win this Division 3 Championship, or at least get promoted, because of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 structure. Cork, of course, they did field a relatively strong side with the likes of Luke Connolly in there. But of course, we do know Cork are, going to bring through a lot of their young players. They've been very successful at under 20 level in recent years. So Damien Gore and Cathal O'Mahony were brought into the side, and they both showed a lot of positive signs, in my opinion, as they edged out Offaly by 7 points. So yeah, to be honest, lads, I fancy Cork to win this one quite comfortably. It's a game they have to win. If Leitrim were to get anything from this game, I would start to believe that Leitrim could potentially actually stay up, which I would never have expected. Having done my preview, and I really expected Leitrim to finish bottom. But looking at this, I mean, it's very hard to tell at this current moment. I still think Leitrim will go down, but certainly Cork at the moment, should easily get this win, and should win by 6 or 7 points, in my opinion. Another important clash in Division 3 is Derry versus Down. Now, in my opinion, Derry and Down are two sides who should be up there with Cork, battling for promotion. But in my opinion, both sides really let themselves down on the opening day. Down couldn't beat Tipperary. Tipperary, for me, have lost a lot of players in their squad. Michael Quinlivan's not there. There's a number of players with Tipperary who aren't there, and they should really, in my opinion, be relegation candidates. But Down couldn't get over the line in that game. Donald O'Hare was the only kind of bright player who looked decent. And as for Derry, I mean, we just discussed the brilliance of Leitrim. And Derry showed some signs through Emmett Bradley and Ryan Bell that they will be contenders, but they really needed to get a win there, in my opinion. This is a huge game, because whoever loses this could potentially, be out of the race for promotion, in my opinion. So massive game between Derry and Down. I think it will be close. I think these two sides know each other both very well. With Down having the home advantage, of course, many people would probably consider them as favourites. But I think it's going to be very close, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure there's anything really to split these two. But I am just going to go with Derry just edging out Down, in my opinion. I think Down still have some players to come back from Kilcoo as well, so maybe that's a bit of a hindrance to them at the moment. So I am going to go ahead and fancy Derry to just about edge this one and win it by a point. And then we cast our eyes to Division 2 as Armagh face Laois. And yeah, lads, I mean, these two sides really impressed me on the opening day. I mean, Laois battling back against Roscommon. Laois, of course, as we all know, have lost the Kingston brothers. They have both opted out. Their captain, Stephen Atroyd, isn't in the squad either. So for them to actually, score two dramatic late goals against what many people would believe as the favourites for Division 2 in Roscommon, that showed, a lot of promise and a lot of fight and desire by this Laois side. And of course, they will be facing an Armagh team who, I mean, what a performance it was by them against Cavan. I mean, to win by 13 points and to show just so much quality all around the pitch, and the likes of Conor Torba, who made his league debut, I believe, or his senior debut. What a player he is. I mean, a goal and 6 points, dictating the play, showing, all-rounded quality in terms of a footballer. Of course, Rian O'Neill, we know he broke into the team. He was one of the breakout stars in 2019. He continued his fine form, hitting 3 points. So, yeah, I mean, Armagh facing off against Laois. If Laois can show the same desire and same fight as they showed against Roscommon, you never know. But I'm looking at Armagh right now, and I'm really feeling like they are, serious contenders for the Division 2 Championship, in my opinion. If Roscommon continue to drop points, I think Armagh could easily capitalise and be there with Kildare. So, yeah, lads, I'm going to go ahead and say that Armagh make it 2 wins from 2 and see out this victory and win by 5 points. And then, of course, we move on to Division 1, and we will start off by talking about Kerry versus Galway. We'll start off by talking a bit about Kerry, first of all. I mean, we obviously seen the game versus Dublin. If you haven't seen my match reaction to that game, do go ahead and check it out. But I will be interested to see how Kerry follow up a very impressive performance against Dublin in that game against the Galway side, who looks very bright as well in that game versus Monaghan. So, of course, looking at Kerry, I mean, will they be interesting to see how players like James O'Donoghue and Paul Murphy, who were, two new players coming into the team. Of course, James O'Donoghue has been there before, but it's the first time he's come back into the team, I believe, in a couple of years. So, be interesting to see how they do against Galway, of course, being the home side. You would expect them to see off a Galway side who, of course, brought through a number of young players in their opening victory over Monaghan. Finnerty in particular, what a lovely goal it was. He scored in that game, and of course, the likes of Shane Walsh, always very impressive for Galway. And the way they're playing at the moment, Galway, is very impressive. They're getting the ball down attacking football. They seem to have abandoned their defensive principles that they had under the previous manager, and the new manager, Paul Joyce, is very much, you know, going all out attack, which is what you want to see. So I'm expecting an exciting game. I'm expecting an open game, but I think Kerry should just have a bit too much for Galway and should win out 3-point winners. Then, of course, we have Monaghan versus Tyrone. Of course, these two sides know each other very well through the Ulster Championship down the years. And of course, Monaghan, in my opinion, one of the sides that I think will get relegated personally, but they showed a lot of quality in that game versus Galway. You know, Conor McManus is always a player to rely on for Monaghan. But of course, players like Ben McCarron as well, very impressed with him in that game versus Galway. And they could have easily got something from that game. I mean, Conor McManus missed a penalty. There was also that chance as well late on where there was a goal line clearance from Galway. So Monaghan could have easily got something out of that. And they did show a lot of fight and desire in that game under Seamus McEnany that they didn't show last year, in my opinion. They didn't show that kind of same fight in last year's championship and in last year's league. So impressed by Monaghan, but of course they are coming up against the Tyrone side under Mickey Hart that are, you know, rotating their squad quite massively, changing a lot of players, obviously with the loss of Cathal McShane and Conor McCalliskey, who have both gone to the AFL. So Tyrone have a lot of work to do, and this could actually be a good chance for Monaghan to get some points on the board, especially playing at home at Castle Blaney. Huge chance obviously for them, you know, playing in this game against the Tyrone side that will more than likely rotate their players. So I am fancying a close game, but yeah, for some, you know, I've got a sneaky feeling Monaghan might just edge this one out. I was very impressed with them against Galway. So yeah, and then of course we have Mayo versus Dublin, and of course we all know there is no shortage of love lost between these two counties when they face off each other. I mean, they have had some historic battles down the years. And this game, of course, is, well, another National League game, so it certainly won't be one of the games that's remembered or one of the games that will go down in history. But it could be a massive game for either county, in my opinion, in terms of how their National League campaign could play out, because whoever wins this game could potentially go on and fight for promotion, and whoever or fight for the league, and whoever loses could potentially, you know, be mid-table or even battling down near the relegation zone. I mean, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, I mean, look, listen, Mayo looked very bright in that game versus Donegal. Boland hit a couple of good points. I was impressed with him. James Durkin as well, especially that late goal he scored. And Mayo showed a terrific amount of fight in that game versus Donegal. Donegal probably should have won it. They should have seen it out. They had more than enough chances, in my opinion, to win that game. But Mayo, they never gave up, and they kept fighting. And they showed that fighting spirit that Mayo are very well known for down the years. So yeah, I mean, coming up against the Dublin side, who of course are, you know, experimenting a little bit under a new manager and Desi Farrell. Of course, Kevin McManaman was in the team in the last game, which goes to show, you know, how much Dublin are rotating their side. They're bringing through players like Aaron Byrne, Conor McHugh. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all sort of plays out. Would be interesting to see how the midfield battle goes. Of course, you know, Brian Fenton was unbelievable in that game versus Kerry. If he's afforded the same amount of space that he was given in that Kerry game that he is in this game, Dublin could easily dominate. But I've got a sneaky feeling Mayo are going to win, and just because they have the home advantage, Dublin are rotating players, they're changing things, they're probably going to give some of their younger players more of a chance. I think it's more important for Mayo to win this than Dublin, in my opinion, just because of how things have gone in the past couple of years. So yeah, I mean, Mayo could easily pull this off. I still think it's going to be very close, though. It could easily be another draw. But yeah, lads, actually I'm going to go with Mayo to win by a point. Sounds crazy, but I just have a sneaky feeling they're going to do it. And having that home advantage, you know, might just play a massive difference. Anyway, lads, that is going to be the end of the video. If you have enjoyed this, please leave a like, hit that subscribe, all that good stuff. Of course, I'll be doing a preview as well for some of this weekend's hurling action, so do keep an eye out for that. And yeah, lads, I will catch you all next time.